Welcome back to Best Ball Summer with ETR. You are in the DraftKings draft room. And in the draft room, I've got one of my good friends, very, very special guest, actual guest, Drew Dinkmeyer. How are we doing?
Good. It's great to partake in the festivities of best ball season. I love a good best ball season. It also comes when my workload's a little bit lighter this time of the year with the NBA down. So love to talk a little NFL. As man, we're less than a month away from the start of the season.
We are, and we kind of put it out on Twitter. We were guessing who's. I'm pretty sure this is your highest exposed running back. I know you've been doing a whole bunch of drafts in the past few weeks, but give us the answer. Who is it?
Yeah, if anybody had tuned into Davis Maddox Streamathon yesterday, you had the answer. So, but it's Roshan Johnson is my highest selected player to this point. I basically went on Davis's stream yesterday, kind of lambasting him and the Slappies, who are pushing up like every news camp running back ahead of Roshan Johnson, when Roshan's like the clear number 2 and goal line running back. Doesn't have to worry about any competition, can only really go up on the depth chart from here. And he's getting drafted, after a lot of guys that I think have very uncertain roles and uncertain paths to being productive going forward. So yeah, call me a homer, but Roshan Johnson is my highest selected running back this year.
There you go. And we got the report of the past couple of weeks. We kind of expected that Roshan was going to have the goal line work. Like, that's not really been DeAndre Swift. It just wasn't valuable in the past because the offensive line was horrible and the entire offense in general wasn't scoring much. But now offensive line has moved from a bottom 10 to like a top 5 or so. Yep. Obviously you've got the Ben Johnson, you get the whole offensive kind of uptick, but if Roshan, didn't we also say Roshan might be playing some third down role, which was surprising to me?
This is the thing that I think is so interesting, because like all off season, everybody was talking about how Ben Johnson didn't really love DeAndre Swift. That's why they went out and they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs when Ben Johnson was in charge. And then there were all these rumors about the Bears are going to get a running back. The Bears are going to be active in the draft getting a running back. Travion Henderson goes one pick in front of them, who I know they were really attached to. And then after that, everybody was like, oh, Swift is good. Like, we're good with DeAndre Swift now. And it's like, well, you guys all thought Swift was going to get replaced at the time. Now you don't want the guy who's on the roster that could potentially replace DeAndre Swift if they'd fall out of favor with Swift's running style and different things like that. But yeah, Roshan's really good in blitz pickup. He's not an athletic superstar. He's not like a great running back, but he's good at everything. And coaches love that stuff. And especially Ben Johnson, a guy who's like obsessed with details. I think there's paths to Roshan playing a lot more than people think, just because he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes out there. And in a new offense, in a new system that's getting integrated, I know DeAndre Swift has familiarity with it, so that should put him at an advantage. I think there's a lot of paths to Roshan Johnson being successful this year.
Yeah, but why take Roshan Johnson, the trusted, paid guy who can do it all, when you can draft a late round rookie running back that got a couple positive reports in training camp?
Yeah, exactly. You can take the Brashard Smith. What could it be? Maybe it could be Roshan Johnson. You could take the Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. What could it be? Maybe it could be Roshan Johnson. I mean, I get that, the uncertainty on some of these situations, presents the theoretical upside, but I think the upside is just as high for the guy who's already got the most valuable touches, in terms of the goal line work, and has the potential to earn more in the passing game stuff for an offense that everybody's generally, pretty excited about this offseason.
Love it. Well, we are at pick 8 for the DraftKings Millie. And for all of you who are watching this, why not go download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now to draft your $20 best ball lineup to play for your share for $15 million. And if you do, you get a second ticket to play for free for that share of $15 million. That's 2 chances to win big without ever setting your lineup again. Draft one, get one, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Hashtag DK Partner. We are here for some fun, some drafting. We got the 8. What's your favorite spot this year?
I really like being basically 6th or like 9, 10, 11 is kind of where I like to be. I feel like in the first 2 rounds, you don't have to make as many choices in those spots. The draft sort of falls to you. I wanted to get your thoughts with DraftKings. I know in the past, you've kind of tuned me into maybe selecting running backs a little bit earlier, where it's kind of like break even value for you because you're going to be higher on wide receivers later in the draft. this year's running back class at the top is obviously really, really compelling. How are you approaching kind of, because this 8th pick gets in the range of like, we have players ranked ahead of CMC, but do you take CMC in that spot? That's kind of where I've been, the first six picks, I feel really comfortable. 7, 8 feels a little uncomfortable. And then like 9, 10, 11. Okay. Some of the uncomfortable decisions have been made for me. I feel a little bit better.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the first 7 are pretty much outlined for me because I will take McCaffrey at that 7, even though it doesn't fit like, and even that like would have been great. But now we're in this weird spot where you have the back injury. I've actually been going a little more Nico because you can kind of get a unique week 17 as well. I like Nico. What do you want to do?
I would be taking Nico or Neighbors here. I'm a little nervous on Puka. And for me, it's not just the Stafford stuff with Puka. It's also, I think, just because he's been, mostly healthy in his professional career, people aren't thinking of Puka as like a big injury risk. But the reason he fell in the draft was he could not stay healthy at the collegiate level at all. And so I know Nico got hurt last year with a hamstring issue. Neighbors has generally been really healthy throughout his professional and collegiate career. I just am a little bit more comfortable with those guys. I think they're all great. They're all incredible players. Just a little bit more comfortable with their profiles, who also like we're baking into the projections that the Rams offense is really good. Like the point totals and the lines coming into the season have their offense like as being very good. Whereas New York and Houston, we don't have that. So I think there's even like more room for the projection on Nico and Neighbors to bump up, where there's more room for downside for Puka.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because we talk so much about the Cowboys and like people are loving you have the obviously CD Lamb, but now you're getting like a clear kind of top 2 with Ferguson being the 3rd there too. And just thinking like where we are up.
Yeah.
I'll land the plan on that one.
This is a Bauer spot for me, like very easily. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And that's where like maybe it actually would have made sense. Like, hey, you go Neighbors, because then you can get that week 17 with the Neighbors Brock Bowers. I showed a chart, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, where there were just not many people doing bringbacks for week 17 on DraftKings. If you looked at that initial data that they released, obviously it's changed, but I still think it's fairly predictive. But where I was getting to with the Dallas is everyone's like, Dallas is just going to throw a ton because they can't run. Well, if Joe Mixon's not healthy, and we don't like Nick Chubb, and Woody Marks isn't really an in between the tackles runner, like, aren't they just going to throw a ton? And we know like they have offensive line problems themselves. It's kind of easier to mask your offensive line problems with a passing game if you're just going to go with like a short dink and dunk. And on DraftKings, like that's not the worst thing. We saw obviously like Achane and Jonnu Smith do so well in that with Miami last year. So even though like Nico, we like, he has a higher yards after catch, he has a higher kind of ADOT. We still wouldn't be the worst case if they have to go with a bit more of a dink and dunk, and like Nico's still going to get a lot of that value in the slot.
Yeah. And I'm with you on the like a lot of DFS, normal seasonal in-season DFS, and also like best ball is trying to understand where the projections have some like range of outcome upside. And, Houston is in a spot, and this is why I encourage like people to listen to like the Establish the Edge podcast with Leone and Gretsch, where they did the projection previews and different things. I think it's a great precursor to getting ready for the season. But I think with Houston, like it's hard to project them as like a super pass happy team, but you just laid out a path that feels pretty clear that if Mixon is not fully healthy and Chubb is not what he used to be, they don't, Damian Pierce is like the next between the tackles kind of guy. Why not? And you just fired an OC because they ran too much on first down and they were too predictable. Why not sort of open it up? So I think it's, I think understanding sort of where some of these paths could be is one of the ways to create, kind of hidden edge beyond the projections in DFS.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring up Jordan's comment here because you alluded to it, but you kind of brushed over it quickly. But can you give a little more thoughts on what we're talking about? Why, like, it seems counterintuitive that we like running backs a little more on DraftKings when it's PPR and wide receivers are actually more valuable. Why are we more willing to kind of take them in the first couple of rounds?
Yeah, the issue for us and this has been the issue for a few years now, is our rankings are generally like the best case scenario on running backs is we're slightly ahead of the market in terms of ADP. And so just trying to find the spots where we're slightly ahead or in line. Wow. That is a high T start there. Trying to find spots where we're like closer or to ADP are sort of in line with market, that we're not like seeding value, knowing that we're going to be able to accrue value from ADP relative to our ranks later on is one of the things that I think I was drafting too many like pure zero running back teams last year. And when we talked, you had kind of highlighted that you're a little bit more willing to sacrifice some of the ADP value very early in the draft, knowing you'll get it later. And that helped me, I think, draft better teams later on in the season.
Okay, Jaden Daniels, first QB off the board. Both QBs are still available. Josh Jacobs is still available.
Yeah.
I'm at least going to put that in the queue in case. But if that goes, it's really wide open. We have a wide receiver and a tight end. I don't normally draft QB though.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs goes. What are you thinking?
This is one where like Brees is at the top of our queue and he's a running back. And I know it's ahead of ADP, but for me, there's not going to be a lot of running backs at the top of our queue the rest of the way. So I would take Brees here.
Okay. I like it too. I have moved Kyron up like more on the underdog side with like just a little more confidence, the contract and everything. And I just think like he's not going to finish as probably a top 5 running back, but it just feels like a safer bet. But I think like even though like on DraftKings, I think the Brees Hall bet is just better. I think Brees Hall actually has more path to finishing as a top 1, 2, even like top 3 running back because of his pass catching, because of his explosiveness. It's not just that volume bet on Kyron. So that's where I just want to talk through because it is 6 picks ADP difference. But
yeah. But I think it's just a weird spot of the draft. I think it would have been Brees or Lamar there for me, but Lamar, it starts to get into real weird builds where you get the quarterback and the tight end early. And you've talked a lot about this on how just on DK specifically, quarterback is a smaller portion of the scoring just because of the way the scoring is set up with the full PPR, with the bonuses and so on and so forth. So that's a tough spot of the draft. That's a very uncomfortable spot, that third round. Kind of
Josh Jacobs would have been a home run. Like that Josh Jacobs.
That would have been the easy send it in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And if we are talking other sites, like that is where Josh Allen and Lamar are actually completely in play for me in those spots, but just not on DraftKings. 20 spots as well. So I can more easily end up with 3 QBs, pass catchers. The Lamars just have a little less value, all that stuff. Yeah. Kittle goes, James Cook goes, Marvin Harrison. Okay, let's bring it back to us. Running backs is not really what we're looking for here. So we're on the clock.
Yeah, I don't love anyone in this range, so I'm fine to defer to you if you have strong opinions here.
I'm thinking more from a stack standpoint now, so I'm okay with DJ Moore, Mike Evans. I'm one of those two. We got 7 seconds.
I'd go Evans.
Okay. I like it. Give us the Chicago take on DJ Moore.
I think that the positives for DJ Moore are some willingness to use him in the backfield, which they've shown in training camp, which I do think is interesting. And I think some people might, view that as like contradictory to my Roshan Johnson take. I don't think they're using DJ Moore in the backfield at the 1 or 2 yard line. They might use him at like the 12-yard line, at the 15-yard line. And I think that's where I'm a little bit more worried about Swift and the impacts that it has there. But for DJ, I think he's pretty fully priced. I mean, he's been very consistent the last few years, but he has not had this level of target competition. And I think with Bears stuff just generally, with Bears stuff generally, I think I have plenty of DJ Moore too. I should say I have plenty of all the Bears, but I don't feel so strongly at 41 that DJ Moore is a great play. I've been getting him like 48 to 53, and I feel good about it there. And it's more at like 41. I just feel like Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Xavier Worthy, like you could give them all to me. You could even include George Pickens, who I'm pretty high on, into that group. And I'd be like, they're all pretty similar to me, which is, again, why I like this, 5th, 6th spots in drafts, because you end up getting those guys kind of coming back to you and some of the choices are made for you. With Evans, I think, obviously you're on the wrong side of the aging curve, which is a little bit concerning, but you do get the big game blow up potential. You get the really favorable playoff schedule as well for
very nice.
And so I guess the way that I'd put it is there's a lot of ways to get into Chicago later if you still want to get into Chicago later with Rome, with Loveland, with Burden. There's fewer ways to get into Tampa Bay, right? It's Igbuka, it's Godwin, and then it gets really dicey from there on out. So I kind of feel like this keeps us having multiple options at quarterback down the road.
Yep, I like that. And then there's also just Mike Evans' ADP was 35. So
Yeah.
if you're going to think about it from a portfolio management style, like if you're going to take DJ Moore ahead of Mike Evans every single time, you're never going to end up with any Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've said this before. I've said this publicly. I've said it in our ETR Slack. Like the Bucks are just a team that I get why the projections are not going to really be able to make them aggressive targets, but I'm happy to make them personal aggressive targets because there's just, hey, if that offense continues what it did last year, yes, we're expecting regression, but if it doesn't, like there's just huge upside. You also have the contingency aspect where if this Chris Godwin injury actually is worse than it is, if Buka for whatever reason isn't the, chosen one as we've seen so far in preseason, I'm still expecting like Baker just to throw through. He's still going to get his bath salts, even though he has to, by himself, but it's a team I'm willing to go for.
That ETR still establishing at logo, that's a fun start there as well. I know the 27th pick is a little bit tricky in terms of what to do, but getting Rashi as your wide receiver 4 feels very, very fun as a starting point when you have plenty of ammo to insulate you from the first few weeks.
Yeah, I like it. The only thing I would swap is I would have done Josh Jacobs here and just said Bucky Josh, and I'm done with running backs for a while.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of running backs, this is Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts falling.
Wow.
The Jalen Hurts is interesting.
We're gonna get someone I really like here. One way or the other. Okay. I'm really good with Devontae. I think, Leonie's talked about this a ton, but obviously like when you're projecting out in the future, you just can't look at last year's pass rate and envision it continuing for the way that Philadelphia was able to play. There's going to be some regression there most likely, and that's leaving a little bit of meat on the bone for both Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts from a value perspective. And Devonta's got this, we haven't seen it because A.J. Brown hasn't really gotten hurt, but he's got this contingent upside that's just massive because he's very good and he's in a very good offense. So I would have felt really good with Devonta or Hurts there. If he fell to that point, I'd be like, okay. And even Waddle, I would have felt good. I think that's a little bit of a tier for me. I think Ridley is close to that Waddle spot, but a little bit of a teardrop for me right around that point.
Yeah, for me with Smith, I mean, a lot of it for contingency upside is I see there's two clear contingency upsides. Yes, you have the injury one because it's already such a concentrated offense. If AJ Brown goes down, like Devonta, just huge opportunity. But also you have the team contingency where if the defense is worse, if they have to pass more, like we talk about range of outcomes, and that's what we want to lean into. And his range of outcomes, we know he has the talent. So it's just, can he get more volume? And there's two ways for that volume to happen. You look at other teams, and if they're already expected to throw 550 times, you don't have that in their range of outcomes. Oh, they're going to start throwing 700. But like Jalen Hurts might be projected for like 400. And a weird season could happen that he could actually throw for 500 if weird things happen with the defense and such. Like that doesn't exist for most teams. We are next on the clock, going through running back. We've missed out on some tiers. Olave, Judy,
you see the best available in that range, Justin. We'll see. I mean,
what just goes.
It wasn't built in a day.
I do say know what you're talking about.
It's time for Rome, baby. And this is where, so for me, the Evans over Moore pick like really shines out well here. Not that starting Moore and Odunze together is a problem. Like I think that's a fine double stack if you want to go that route with Caleb. But the cost on that double stack relative to the depth of skill position players on that team makes me a little bit less comfortable with it than if I get one of DJ Moore and Rome and then one of like Luther Burden or Loveland. And we like them all in terms of relative to ADP. So like there are times where I've started out with the Moore Rome side and then like Burden and Loveland are still there at the top of my queue. And I'm like, how deep do I want to get into this situation for a tournament where you need like the absolute nuts at the end. And so I think, this just gave us like two different outcomes at the quarterback position that we can lean into instead of just that one, which on DK, this room is fairly friendly, it looks like, in terms of like known names. But on DK, you always got to beware of, the quarterback terrorists out there who are just taking quarterbacks randomly for no good reason. So I think giving us more outs there is also helpful.
And no one's taken 2 quarterbacks yet. That actually is pretty impactful in my mind. When I see someone already has 2 QBs in the kind of 4th or 5th round, first off, I'm thinking that person actually is going to grab a 3rd one in a decent time too. And that pressure, you start feeling it across the room, even if someone's not immediately watching it. With a 3 QB room, which we're kind of expecting, and we're kind of expecting early on, like I think Houston and Las Vegas, like Stroud and Geno, those are great QBs as well, where I did want to grab one that's more in that kind of top 10 or top 12 QB. And I think Baker and Caleb fit well. So if we end up with either Baker or Caleb, you can then honestly make it that person and Stroud and Geno, or Baker and Caleb, and then one of those two. Like you get that kind of flexibility. But what I didn't want to happen is Geno, Stroud, and Penix. Like that in my mind is where it starts getting like, you only have to spend an extra round or 2 higher in the mid rounds to get the better QB. You should at least do that for one of your 3.
You also get into a point where if you're relying on those guys as your stack partners and you haven't filled out QB early, oh boy, it gets real ugly. And so you do, it's a good thought process to have in terms of like layering your stack options at different points of the quarterback draft as well, that they're not all in the same range, because if you miss, you could be, kind of left holding the bag.
Yeah, that's when we grab Pittman in the 8th and set up that A-Rich.
Yeah. A-Rich, it's interesting because on DraftKings, some of the advantages he can create are a little bit mitigated by the lack of passing, right? So it seems like he hasn't, I still think we're like 2 weeks away from him really flying up the board. So I think it's still like good times to get in. Oh, it looks like somebody's setting up San Francisco there.
But I do want to say it is easier on DraftKings because of the 20 roster spots, though.
Yeah.
Where on an 18 roster game, taking a 0 at one of your QB spots, like that's a little tough. So I do think like it kind of evens itself a little on which I'd rather be drafting him.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay. Well, there goes one.
Naked
the Travion Henderson drafter. We knew that was a wild card.
Oh, that's true. Even because I was watching this at Goka and I was a little worried, and I was like, you know what? If we don't take him at 80, which I don't think we would have, he probably goes at 88. Yeah. So I didn't think we'd get him anyways. Lo and behold, doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Irrelevant.
Okay. I think there might be a running back or 2 that we might want to look at here, because once you start getting to 5 wide receivers,
there's the first double, and Daniels Mahomes as a combo. Okay. So just
good to know. Good to know. There. Pacheco goes. Okay, we are next up. I'm going to pull you got Tony Pollard at the top of the queue. If he goes, it gets a little up. Okay, we are up.
Yeah, Pollard is great. I think that's like a perfect fit for the start of this draft. And that's another situation like the Bears, where they made a bunch of offensive line upgrades, partially getting health, but also free agent signings. And so they're a team that could be a surprise offensively in terms of what you thought about the Tennessee Titans last year. Obviously, also investing the number 1 pick in the quarterback position as well.
I like as well because it's a good way to bet on Caleb. I mean, not Caleb. Sorry, on
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Without Calvin Ridley being your only option, because beyond Calvin Ridley, and then you're talking the 2 running backs. The next person drafted for the Titans is Chig in like the 17th. Yeah. Or you're talking, Tyler Lockett or Eli Ayermanor in the 19th, 20th. So it allows us to, you can still make Cam Ward a play. You can then still get one of those back stacks, but it's an overall bet on elevation of that offense.
Yeah. I'm trying to see.
What do you want, players?
Well, I was just thinking about this Caleb thing because Moore is on the other side of the board. I don't feel like we have to force Caleb.
No, that's at least way too early in my mind.
Yeah. So it's basically going to be decided by the other guy. Unless there's another terrorist out there.
Yeah, but he'd still be reaching a little. We are on the board.
I like Jaylen Warren here. I think
you're not fighting with me on that.
I'm comfortable with Hawkinson, but we have Bowers, so we don't need Bowers. We don't need Hawkinson. So I'm getting the 3rd running back that, again, is close to our ADP value, that, we've now built up some some draft capital into the running back position in a way that we eschewed it early on with just one running back in the first 6 rounds, hitting it in 7 and 8, fills that bucket a little bit more, which you can see there on the solver tools. And so I think we're like in a better, more balanced position from a roster standpoint on the whole now.
Yep. And Jaylen Warren, similar to the Polar, but actually even better correlation, gives you, if you absolutely need it, that Aaron Rodgers third QB.
Yeah.
Because I think Jaylen Warren does positively correlate, because we know how much Rodgers throws to his pass catching backs. Warren, if you consider the expected split with Caleb, games they're behind, games they're throwing more often, you get a bit more Jaylen. So those are definitely,
by the way, really good pick just happened for us there with Brock Purdy to the DJ Moore team, building out the Brock Purdy, CMC, DJ Moore week 17 stack, but also makes them probably slightly less likely to take Caleb on the way back. We'll see if they do. But definitely
also, like Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Tua later.
Yeah.
So the Purdy, I guess the McCaffrey counts as a stack. Could be an ETR person as well, because we have Purdy.
We have Purdy very high. Yeah, they could pull back Ayuk on the other end of this too, and then build out a Purdy CMC Ayuk combo.
Speaking of TB revenge, I got a feeling they're going to want some revenge, because once they lose that San Francisco, there's not much of a stacking there. Yeah. So this will be an interesting one if they try to do like a Bo Nix, Evan Ingram kind of double. That's what I would aim for right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I take Bo Nix first, because Cortland Sutton's right here. Even though they grab Burrow, you could see that. Yeah. And then try to grab Ingram with the 98th pick here.
I wanted to ask your opinion. We took Rome at 65, the other guy that was top of the ETR ranks. They're listening right along to you there, Justin, with Bo Nix there. The other guy that was at the top of the ETR ranks was Chris Olave at 66. Yep. And our ranks are ahead of market on both Olave and Shaheed, and the reports on the Saints passing game is just horrific. But those two players are very, very affordable relative to their individual talent levels. How are you feeling about those two this year? Obviously, I think team scoring is a little bit lesser of a concern on full PPR sites with bonuses and whatnot, because you're not relying on touchdowns as much. But what's your take on the Saints receivers? Because I think it's a popular and important topic of conversation this best ball season.
I think best way I can describe it is, if we grab Lamar here, I would have actually pushed for Olave instead of Odunze. But the thing with, and I kind of call them the unstackables, and primarily it's the Saints and the Browns, I believe that their ADPs are actually falling or lack of rising, because people don't want to take them, because you're not going to get comfortable stacking them later on. So when you're between Odunze and Olave, you're more likely to choose Odunze, because you can grab Caleb later on. And so that just kind of continued as a domino, and it brings them down. So I think like standalone, Olave, Shaheed, Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku are really strong values, but I want to specifically do it on teams where I'm already comfortable with who my quarterbacks are going to be.
Yep. In a little bit of a tight end run here, which is very nice for us. We're very
happy. You went with the Bo Nix, Evan Ingram, very sharp.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb is in the queue. I already know that. So we're fading. This is the big one right here.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Goes with the Goff. Love it.
Yeah.
Now let's see if
that feels very comfortable.
Is there any logic to pushing this a little?
Yeah. How good do you feel about Pittman or ETN? Like, those are the guys that are going to be at the top.
Okay, ETN's gone. I have Caleb in the queue. So Lamar, Josh Allen. This person does not have any. I don't like pushing Caleb, because it's so easy for someone to say, I'm going to go Caleb and Luther. Or
Caleb. Exactly. I'm with you. Okay. And like Pittman's not enough of a reward as a price for pushing to me from that.
I agree with that. So, and not for this team, because we're strong at wide receiver. Even though like I don't love Pittman, I do mentally think, though, that like there's a pretty decent tier between Pittman and the next guys. So if you are in need of wide receiver, I'm okay with like you considering that Pittman actually is enough of a, gold star, silver star from Caleb. But we have 4 of our first 6 picks wide receivers are pretty strong. If we would have had another QB, I'd then be more willing to kind of push it because, as we mentioned too, Pittman does open up that Anthony Richardson, even if like kind of gone on about this before. While granted, they do correlate from a true correlation sense, Pittman and Josh Downs ADPs have been inflated because of the likelihood over the past month that Daniel Jones is going to be the QB. But now that that's kind of shifted, they haven't really reverted enough. The Pittman one has dropped from the not ankle injury, some kind of injury. It might have been groin. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah. Okay. Coming back to us, let's do a quick review of the team so we can help out. We have the Bowers. We have 4 wide receivers in the first 6. We have our first QB, and then we have Breece, Pollard, Jalen Warren. We're getting to the end of, I'd say, running back and wide receiver tiers.
Yeah.
Just throwing some guys up here for us to discuss.
Those two top. So it would be Dobbins or Shaheed for me, and I'd risk the idea of like a Burden or a Loveland potentially coming back.
Yeah, I agree on ADP.
Yeah,
I think I'd go Dobbins. That's
my lean, but I think it's more team based, and I think this team we need a little bit more juice at running back than wide receiver.
Yeah, my pushback on Dobbins is Breece, Pollard, and Warren are front loaded. But I think like we go Dobbins and then expect that we're going to end up with 2 more running backs and make sure those are like high upside. Late
season.
Blooming.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I could have gone either direction on that one. I think that was a coin flip.
I agree. Also, like if the reports over the past few days on Tyler Shuck weren't so bad, like then you're like, okay, well, I'm playing for this third QB, but I know you and I like both have a decent amount of Shuck, but like it's a little scary right now.
It's very scary. Yeah. And it's also like, I think it's what's kept the Shaheed and Olave, ADPs in check, but it's also a little bit scary just in terms of like, there's no like veteran coming to save them. The Saints aren't good enough that they're going to like trade for, some veteran mid-season to try to like, pull things together. I don't think they're that good enough. So I think like if it's Shuck and Rattler and Shuck is not the answer, it's going to be a long season for New Orleans.
Yeah. I mean, it's Kamara with 100 3-yard receptions. It sounds so gross, but like this happened last offseason too, and it's literally happening again. All of the options behind Kamara are just dust, and they fall apart.
Yeah.
And like it happened last year with Kendra, it's happening this year with Devin Neal, and like Kendra Miller's not done anything to change our minds. And then it's what, Cam Akers? Like, come on. Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's ugly, but yeah.
This is getting interesting with the quarterback stuff because like everybody on that side of us has 2 now except the Hurts drafter. Is that right? No, the Bo Nix drafter. Okay.
The Burrow one has 1. The Bo Nix has 1.
Okay.
And then Hurts. Can I just say the Ramondre drafter the Traven Henderson drafter is drafting a lot of players I like, but just in the wrong order.
in an unusual order.
It's like someone sends you the screenshot of their team and you're like, oh, I like a lot of these players, but it's like, but wait, what happened to your third
what happened to your 7th round pick? Where did that go?
Right. Yeah. Get your guys' season is right. Can't fault it. Loveland goes to the guy who has DJ Moore. I'm all for correlating.
That's what I was wondering on Herbert, which is a bye week overlap on the Knicks. That's what I was sort of wondering is if Herbert was going to make it all the way back to us, which would have been an interesting discussion point. We don't have to worry about it now.
Yeah, I saw, but like there's a lot of backstack options.
There are. Zach in chat was asking. He said a lot of the consideration seems to be surrounding QB pairings. At what point are we overweighting correlation in our thought processes? I would note that when we're talking about these things, we're talking about tiebreakers amongst players in similar tiers. So if you think we're overweighting it in terms of the thought process, we're like small margins in terms of differences between players. We'd have to be so wrong so consistently all of the time to be overthinking it or overweighting it in the process with the way we're talking about it, which is like deferring between two players who are similarly tiered. What you don't want to do is you don't want to jump like a tier back to like make sure that you're getting another stat candidate that you can fill in the early part of the draft. It's okay to do that in, rounds 14, 15, 16, 17, because the tiers are so fluid at that point. But in the early part of the draft, that's what I'd avoid.
I think it comes down to humility as well, where we just don't have. Oh, Luther Burden just goes.
Sad.
We don't have enough, or we have enough humility to know that like our confidence in a player maybe shouldn't even be that confident. Like, because in that tier, we're talking 48-52 decisions. And especially if you have a 52-40 decision and you always choose the 52, you're going to end up with silly exposure. So instead of me trying to randomly decide, you let Stacks play that role. CJ Stroud.
Perfect. Perfect. Just fits like a glove. Love to see it.
Yeah. And I mean, Stroud and Nico's an interesting one because you don't have like that Tank Dell going early. So you're not really fighting too much with other people. You got like Jaden Higgins here. He obviously would have taken him at the 130. I've got him in the queue. We'll take him.
Very comfortable click there.
And we talked about this, but now like, so we have our Caleb, we have the Stroud, and if our third one is Geno Smith, perfectly content with that. If so, where's Jacoby? Jacoby's here. So
we're looking at 152. 152
is where we'll and we're highly likely to get him. His ADP is 155.
That might be around the Cam. We might have the Cam Ward decision there too. Like we might have two options there.
I agree.
At that pick.
I mean, was it Kyle who asked it? Yeah, no, Zach asked it earlier. Like, this is an interesting one. Cam Ward versus Geno. Geno, we have the stack. Cam Ward, we have 13 spots higher and 5 ADP. Cam Ward, you can backstack. Geno,
backstack it. Yeah,
you can. Okay, 2, 4, 4, 1.
I would love to get a wide receiver here, but it's kind of a wide receiver dead zone, so it's probably going to be a running back.
It really is. They're all just so flat at this point.
Yeah.
We did talk about running backs. We'd rather have backstack. This is where like Jaden Blue feels good. Bashal Tutin's a bit of a reach.
He already went. Yeah.
Tight end wise, so Chicago, that's already gone. Houston, you could do Schultz. Like Kincaid and Ferguson. Honestly, these tight ends aren't bad for me.
They're not bad. Yeah, they're not bad. You could make it a very clear 2 tight end team. And I would say if Rachaad White goes, that's the direction I'd probably go.
Okay. Bowers is by week 8.
Yeah.
We are back. So
I'm fine with Rachaad. Yeah. I would rather take him than double the tight end spot.
I agree. I think
Rachaad
White in general is one of the.
Our 6th running back is going to be a bigger swing. Like I think we've now we've got the PPR piecemeal pieces. We can take a big swing with the 6th running back.
I do want to okay. We are in love right now with the Taj Brookses, the DJ Giddens, the even Will Shipleys, where it's like, hey, they're one injury away from really showing. And then we're like, nah, we don't really love Rachaad White because you've got the Bucky Irving and he's not actually that explosive. But in reality, Rachaad White actually fits really well for the idea of a late, bloomer. He just also still has a standalone role. He's a pass catcher, but we've seen how valuable this offense is. And no, he's not going to have a workhorse role. Like you're still going to have Sean Tucker would probably get some of the rushes. But like if Bucky Irving goes down, Rachaad White's projection weekly probably puts him at like top 10 or 12 on a weekly running back basis. So I think it's worth kind of, just because he's a veteran doesn't mean he doesn't have like late season upside.
Yep.
There goes Cam Ward for his 3rd QB. Baker, Dak, Cam.
Oh, at least he got a little correlation there with Tajay.
There you go. But he's drafting the guys I like. Just early.
Yeah.
TV Revenge goes for the QJ backstack. Um,
I
Trey
assume
Harris still went
fill that
quite
with
high.
Keenan. I assume you'll fill that with Keenan on the other side.
His 80, he could probably get him at 167.
Yeah, it'll be tight. It'll be tight.
Yeah, he
In the
probably
wide
should
receiver
take him.
group. I mean, it depends on how many receivers he has. Oh, he has 6 receivers already, so maybe not. But yeah, Zach Ertz. Wait, Zach Ertz. Which one of these is not like the other in this tight end group? Like what happened that Zach Ertz got in there?
It's kind of funny because like Zach Ertz at 140 in general is a little reach because I actually kind of like Zach Ertz for PPR, especially the Terry McLaurin stuff.
Yeah.
But like somehow in this draft room also you had Jake Ferguson and Tucker, like people were falling a round or two past. Like Dalton Kincaid went all the way to the 13th round.
That's pretty wild for Zach Ertz.
That's really good value. Pick 146.
Ferguson and Kincaid. Yeah. That's something.
We would have happily taken Kincaid at 137.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now I know wide receivers are kind of rough, but
the question to me here is like, how much do you feel like Geno, the third quarterback, is a priority? Because if we don't, it's a good likelihood that Geno's gone on the way back.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
This is also the way I kind of think about these is if we took if Geno fell to us at pick 161, we're definitely taking him, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then what are we giving up by not taking him now? Like what's the difference in the wide receivers that we get now versus then?
Yeah.
And to be honest, whoever you want's probably going to be there next time, or at least someone very similar.
Yeah. All right. 3 stacked quarterbacks.
3 stacked quarterbacks, 5 running backs that I think give us a decent room with one later, an elite tight end. So 3, 6, 9, 2 or 3, 7, 8, 2. I think we've got.
I think it's one of those two. It's at least it's at least 8 receivers.
Yeah, or 3, 6, 8, 3. And you just go 2 late tight ends as well and try to go with the Harold Fannin or kind of upside aspects.
Yeah. When I have Bowers, I just would love to make I guess the way that I think about these, even with 20 rounds, when I have Bowers, I'd love to make it a 2 tight end team. When I have Josh Allen or Lamar, I'd love to make it a 2 quarterback team, just because like that extra skill player that I get, I think I need to replace the earliness of which I took, that other player from a draft capital perspective. So I know Leonie and I were arguing about this a little bit in DMs the other day. He's much more pro like 3 tight end builds on Bowers and stuff. Yeah, on UD even. And I'm just like, I'm only 2 on an 18-round draft. On a 20-round draft, I see more like it's more like what position is the player I like the most with that last pick. But I just would love to get to 2 if I could with a Bowers team.
QB, I very much agree. QBs get hurt less. QB's scoring is more kind of predictable. And in the 19th, 20th round, the QBs available is not great. Tight ends get hurt more. There's more variability in the scoring, and you can still get starters with upside in the 19th, 20th. So that's why I'm more willing to say, okay.
Look at that. One wide receiver goes in between all those picks. Just one wide receiver went. I would take Dobbs here. I think it's funny that we were like, okay, do we take the wide receiver and push Geno, and you laid it out very clearly. What do you give up? We gave up nothing. We gave up Demario Douglas, who we didn't want.
Who we weren't going to take.
As the wide receiver there.
Anthony Richardson, Brenton Strange, unstacked. Trevor Lawrence guy probably didn't like that. Oop, I didn't click that. Ray Davis at 158. Honestly, that's probably a pretty I know it's DraftKings, but still
pretty good value.
I'm getting a little woozy on that situation. I think it works itself out, but like James Cook since like February has been talking about this contract situation. Like this has been in the works, and I don't think it's going to happen, but like I saw rumors that like they were talking that, James Cook might get traded and such, but the Bills are trying to win a Super Bowl. you don't go into a season with Ray Davis and Ty Johnson to win a Super Bowl when you don't have to do anything for James Cook. Like, unless you literally think he's not going to play this year, but with the, CBA rules and such, players just can't sit out the whole year because they lose that year of eligibility on their contract. So I don't think it's going to happen, but there is I think you can sit out like 5 games, maybe 6 games and still get the year. So like that's the higher risk, but yeah. Yeah, we see you, Trey. We knew he was never making it back. That was more theoretical discussion. Yeah, it would have been a reach if you had to grab him earlier. Just that's how it kind of works with these. And same with that. What was the pick that we were talking about earlier? Oh, that Buka. We knew Baker never would have made it back to us with this e-money drafter, had we wanted it. Keenan Allen. So it goes back.
Yeah,
that's a 7th wide receiver.
Got it. Nice. Yeah.
Yep. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of that spot.
The only thing that's tricky there is how are they going to handle QB3 because the overlapping bye weeks on Bo Nix and Herbert. That's what I'm interested to see.
Where'd Bryce go
from that drafter?
Here's where it should have been. I think maybe take Bryce here and let QJ fall to this.
Yeah.
He only had Burrow. Yeah, I guess you didn't know he would take Bryce, but the thing with Bryce is he could have gone Bryce and probably Leggett. Was Leggett still available? Bryce and Thielen. So like it's an easy double tap with the Bryce or a late Jatavian.
Yeah.
Okay, we are next pick. We are up now. There's Leggett, Wandale. I'm not a fan of Jack Batch.
Wandale seems good to me.
Okay. PPR.
Yeah.
Great for this format. Just to quickly look.
Also correlation, week 17 correlation for us as well.
Yeah.
With the Bowers Geno stuff. So
you could see just showing who's available. Running backs are quite ugly. We don't need QB, tight end. This is the beauty of the Bowers. We can happily just say we'll take 2 late or not a big deal. I see Mike Gesicki here. Good chance to talk him up. What are your thoughts on Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, how that might play out?
I just think I know people are going to pin it as if they're competing for a spot. I don't see it that way nearly as much. They used a lot of 2 tight end stuff last year, and Gesicki's just a big slot to them. So I don't think it's this. I don't think it's as much of a downgrade as people have been treating it with where his ADP has gone. So I've been scooping up more Gesicki.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Pat Dorman about it, but I was like, okay, and I don't know the actual projection number, but let's say his projection was 5.4 for half PPR points. Maybe this brings it down to 5.1. But the thing is, we're not playing for that with Gesicki. The play is when T. Higgins or Jamar Chase gets hurt. And in that world, I don't see Noah Fant eating in to his upside. I still see that as Mike Gesicki becomes wide receiver 2.
Yeah. They gave him some pretty real money too. I think they, are pretty comfortable with him.
Okay, Jack Batch does just go there. It's pushing up Dante Thornton.
I would probably be Jalen Noel here, or if you want to go Shipley as the running back, I'm good with that. I love Shipley, so I'm good with that. I don't love Thornton as much as Noel, but Thornton
I like him better on
value is for me, Thornton's just going to be the guy running wind sprints out there. I'm good with Shipley.
I'm going to go Shipley because I think Jalen Noel might fall back to us.
Yeah. That's good by me.
He's got a crazy
closeout running back.
203, I think it is.
Yeah. Closeout running back with the upside swing that we had talked about before.
Only downside, I just looked. We have 3
bye week
9s for running back, but Tony Pollard, Jalen Warren, J.K. Dobbins are still going to be fine for our
the revenge snipe on Noel after saying we sniped Shipley.
That's right after. At least wait till 199 and make us sweat.
I know, make us sweat, make us really feel it. He goes right after. It's we'll never get him. There's never a shot.
right.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Okay. So the only time you could like claim a Will Shipley snipe is yes, if you have the Eagles stack
Yeah.
without Barkley, and that's exactly what this is. And I think that is when it correlates the most. So valid comment.
Yeah.
But we took him at 185, and I think his ADP is like 181. So you can't claim snipe if it was past ADP.
Who did he take before us? He had the opportunity.
Right. There you go. That's what you love to see. Yeah,
Jalen Wright. You had the opportunity. You had the opportunity, Devin.
I don't see Tua on here. I don't see any Miami. I don't see any Tampa for week 17 bring back. That was just a full ADP. You know,
greed.
Just wanted that.
Just greedy.
All right. 3 picks left. If we look at our team, we're done at QB. We're probably done at running back.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
no,
I think
4 picks left.
The question is if it's 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers with the last 4 picks, I think is our only question marks at this point.
And look at a room. I mean, Nico Evans, Devontae, and Odunze is like a pretty solid wide receiver room. Not elite, but like pretty strong. We then waited a while though, so I think now like it goes back to like a more average wide receiver room.
Yep. The thing that I'll say about the guys that we took some boring guys who will be out there. They'll be out there to get the PPR points for when we hit a Nico bye week, a Mike Evans bye week, like Romeo Doubs and Wandale, they will be out there and running routes. And so I think we can start to mix in, some swings as well. But I guess the way that I put it is if those picks there were like, I'm trying to think of like an Alec Pierce and
Calvin Austin,
or Calvin Austin, like these guys who like might not be out there and might only be running like way down the field and getting their 3 targets a game and are very likely to put zeros up in plenty of games. I'd be fairly concerned about our wide receiver room. Honestly, getting Dobbs and Wandale, the type of wide receiver that they are, makes me feel a little bit more secure in where we're at.
Which is funny because like their actual types of wide receiver are like opposite, but the commonality is they're both going to be out in the field. Like Romeo literally in 2 wide receiver sets, Wandale high target volume merchant. Like, when we think of stacks, like there's not really that much available for the 3 QBs.
Trey Tucker is still available. I think
that's actually one I like. He's getting better some buzz.
Yeah. The buzz on Vegas has been weird because there's been some beats who have been like really talking up Thornton a bunch, and then other beats who have been really talking about Trey Tucker is like very clearly the wide receiver too. And now there's this Michael Mayer like bump that's been coming, and I'm just like, I don't trust any of you.
Okay. Do you want to grab a tight end? K. Dotton's a tier above the rest. Otherwise, we can wait.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. I like these wide receivers.
Okay. I'd be fine either way.
Okay. I think this is a last tier of wide receiver. Like these guys will actually be out there.
Yep. I'd probably take Wilson or Diami just not to double up on the Giants situation.
Okay. I'm doing it. I'm going Diami.
The Travis Hunter leverage.
Just thinking through like what is the range of outcome from Michael Wilson? I think it's pretty narrow. Yeah. Like it is good this late in drafts that he's going to be actually on the field, but there's some scenarios that like, Diami Brown actually has the connection with Lawrence. We've been seeing it in camp. Maybe something happens like Travis Hunter more likely to get injured. Like I haven't wanted to say this and just put out in the universe, but like my kind of like, I want to hide behind the couch, but say it like prediction is Travis Hunter, like, unfortunately gets hurt, and it's not a bad injury, but he's out like a game or 2. But then they decide, hey, maybe we should not play him as much. And then it becomes like a more reasonable split on offense and defense.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but I think like that's a possibility. Yeah. And I think it was Devontae who just said like, you're more likely to get injured when you're playing that much. And okay. Tight ends, wide receivers. Okay, now I wouldn't mind doing the Darius Slayton.
Yeah, I'm open to that now as wide receiver 8.
I mean, when our 8th wide receiver this round is still like actually a starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where, like, we talked about not wanting to devote like more capital roster spots to the tight end, but this is where I'm okay with doing the 3 and actually encourages we can still find some tight ends here, and we pretty much spent nothing besides Bowers.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like the last 5 rounds of this draft really fell nicely to us.
I feel like this entire draft I'm pretty content with. The 3rd round would have loved that Josh Jacobs. But I don't know what you're saying there, David in chat. I kind of like this team. If you want to see a team I don't like, then go watch what happened with Evan Silva and I last week. That one was a little rougher. But no, I feel really good about this one.
Yeah. We interestingly would have had the Dart insurance backdoor as well now opened in a way that we, it's not something we were thinking of. It's not something we need to do with 3 quarterbacks, obviously, but as a drafter that's drafting on a 20-round site, Jackson Dart as a pick is like much more palatable. So just be aware that if you get really stuck late, like some of this Slayton or Wandale stuff with, or Theo Johnson with Dart is viable as well.
Yep. Agreed. And like, Rodgers went 204. It's not sexy. He's pretty much playing in a wheelchair that doesn't have wheels, but like he's still a starting quarterback that can throw for some touchdowns.
Yeah. He the clip that Silva shared in our Slack, it just reminded me so much of Draymond Green. It just looked like he was playing with the backpack on. I was just like, what? When did Aaron Rodgers pick up Draymond Green's backpack? Like, what's going on here? And I've got a lot of Pittsburgh tight end exposure this year. So I'm, rooting for the best for Aaron to be able to feed the tight ends and the running backs.
Yeah. I mean, I put that quote in the newsletter from over the weekend with regards to Freiermuth. Like the report was that like the offense will run through Freiermuth. And that's a ridiculous report. But the fact that it even exists can give some credence that like he's a part of the offense. He's a major part of the offense. I think like, yes, I was ahead. I want Jonnu more than Freiermuth. They trade for Jonnu. You obviously have the Arthur Smith kind of connection. We saw what Jonnu did last year, but Pat Freiermuth was a 2nd round tight end, like with a pass catching skill set. And he goes like basically undrafted on 18 round sites and pretty late here. I know we're talking him up now and I'm sure he'll get drafted before it falls to us and that's fine. But
he's also been good. Like he had 65 catches for 653 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Like that's really good.
Well, didn't he have one pretty strong game too? Like what was his highest game last year? If you have his game logs up,
I just have let me see if I can get game logs. Yeah, I got it. He had a game last year. He had 8 for 85 and 1 as his top game, and he had a 7 for 68 and 1 and a 7 for 57 and 1. Like he's not going to be a yards monster, but
I'll take those. Joe Flacco. Oh, here's your answer. No, that's a different team. Okay, this team still has not had.
Has not addressed the Week 12 situation.
Instead of Schultz, probably should have gone Rodgers or Shaw or probably.
100% Rodgers there. Yeah. Was Kincaid their tight end 1 or 2?
Kincaid is tight end 2, and they went with the Bo Nix.
You don't need a tight end 3 over a quarterback 3 to make sure you get points Week 12 at the quarterback spot.
And go Rodgers here, and then Freiermuth at 215.
Yeah.
Okay, we are next up. Let's look at these tight ends. We got some names that I like here. So Theo jumps out.
Adding Giants. Keep on adding Giants.
I mean, Malik Neighbors goes down, and all these guys win.
Yeah. We also it's also all the correlation for Week 17 that we have in all different ways with the Geno. We're just like trying to hit one of those 3, right? Ideally, is like what we're trying to do. So I'm good with Theo there.
All right, grab Theo. Mason Taylor with the high ankle sprain. You don't want to see that, particularly for a rookie who's missing valuable camp reps.
Yeah.
Then you have Terrence Ferguson who got hurt, which, again, when Isaiah Likely got hurt, it's not great for the season. And you give Mark Andrews a little bump, but he has played with Lamar for the past couple of years. He has that connection. It's not the biggest miss. But when you're a rookie and you're missing this time, this was not only your time to kind of build that rapport, but also kind of earn your spot. Like, you're not going to earn playing time on the bench when the games start. And so Terrence Ferguson, I think that's a major hit for him. Mason Taylor, even though there's not much competition ahead of him, it's still a major hit. Let's see where we are. 2 more picks away.
Yeah. And Taylor's a guy that on this team as like the third tight end with Bowers would be fine. And would be like a similar, if not better version of Harold Fannin to me. So that would be fine. The top 2 names on the best available for the tool, I think, are very interesting to me. The third one I wanted your take on because, like, 20-round draft, you've got Caleb single stacked. Do you consider Cole Kmet?
What's the, like, how likely, what needs to happen for him to start outscoring Brock Bowers in a situation that, like, Brock Bowers doesn't get hurt and then our team's already kind of dusted?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the case for all of these tight ends that we're choosing from here. You know?
I mean, Harold Fannin could potentially give you actual, like, I don't know, like, I guess Cole Kmet just doesn't have the sexiness that even if he got the starting job, I'm then that excited about it. I agree with your Mason Taylor comment. We don't need him right away. You still get more time. Like, I would have gone Harold Fannin if Taylor wasn't there, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with Mason Taylor there to close it out. Yeah, I guess my point on Kmet is, like, he's had a 70 catch season. He's had a 60 catch season. It's like it would be Loveland getting hurt. Like, that's the route that it takes. But I think on 20-round drafts, I think I took a little bit of Kmet the other day. It was this type of situation where I had Chicago, like, single stacked, and I didn't like any of the other tight ends late.
Right. Like, I mean, Michael Mayer, I think, is an interesting one where
if
obviously doesn't
on a non-Bowers team,
correct. But, like, if Bowers got hurt, I think because that offense is already built so much around the tight end, and Michael Mayer was actually a really good athlete, like, coming out, I think it was Notre Dame. Like, I think he'd actually be I don't know, has that Isaiah Likely contingency value we were talking about in the past. Like, he probably would start getting projected somewhere around the Jake Ferguson, maybe even higher range if Bowers got hurt. Did Austin Hooper literally just get? Oh my!
Yeah, he went before us. Yeah,
that's not even the backup tight end I want on. Oh, it's New England. I couldn't even told you that team. I saw TEN and I thought Tennessee. I'm literally it's TEN. I'm like, okay, I'd rather have Gunnar Helm.
Yeah. I also think if Mason Taylor wasn't there, I don't think Theo Johnson is strong enough as my tight end 2 to not take a third tight end there. But if I had a stronger tight end 2, Trey Tucker would have been very much in the conversation for me there.
If Darius Slayton wasn't available here, I think we probably would have grabbed either Juwan or Theo. Yeah. And I could have seen us grabbing Trey Tucker here.
Yep. Oh, dart. The dart throw for week 12. I think it's a good chance. I think it's a good chance. Now, if you had Jordan Love and Caleb Williams, 2 bye week 5s, I don't think you could do that. But
agreed. Now,
by week 12,
my only not criticism, but commentary is you have Andre Yoshibas here. Let's stay. Like, there were so many opportunities.
Was that Jake Browning? Was that Jake?
Well, he drafted Joe Burrow, and you have to handcuff your
that. How incredible would it be if you get the ping pong Jake Browning Millie Maker winner? That's an amazing way to get unique out of the one hole that I had not considered. Hats off.
Hey, do you remember how? Okay, so Jake Browning, when Joe Burrow got hurt, the first game, I loved the play on DFS. He was under-owned. He was cheap priced. And, like, he wasn't able to put it together. And then the next week is when he went off for, I think, like 4 touchdowns, maybe even more, like something insane. Oh, and it's like, I think I literally had 60% of him in some of, like, the GPPs for his first game because he was so cheap. And there were there were some reasons to like him. And then the next week.
He went 227 in 1 the first game, and the next game was 354 in 1, and then it was 275 2, 324 2, 335 1. Like, he went on a roll. He was rolling for a little bit there.
Did he have rushing touchdowns in that second? I thought the second game he had like a really big, maybe it was just he hit the
He
bonus.
had 22 yards and a rushing touchdown.
There it is.
Yeah, so
there
it was a big score.
Yep.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Are you ready for
Jake
DFS to be back? We are close.
I'm never ready. This time of the year always feels uncomfortable for me because I'm trying to enjoy my last, time before like I really hunker down, but there's so much like product planning for NBA to get done and so much like best ball drafting to get done and then working on some of the WNBA stuff for ETR as well. So I'm never quite ready. It's one of the things that I will be very excited when we are there week 1. But up until week 1, I feel like there's so much that I should be doing that I don't feel like there's enough time. And so this period I like kind of sneaky hate. And then I like love like once we're like, okay, it's set. There's no more best ball teams I should be drafting or I could be doing. And like, now I just play the game.
That's for me. Is once I'm done with the drafting, like it just allows me to take that Draymond, back off.
Yeah.
Feels a little better.
How many drafts have you completed this year, Herzig?
1,300. We counted. Woo! Ryan and producer Ryan and I were counting before the stream. We were going through it.
Boy, I hope you weren't counting one at a time. That would have been a lot.
A lot of them, I'll say, a lot of them are they're smaller drafts. They're 3-man drafts. I got back into those streaks this year.
Yeah. I like it.
That was a big one. But this was fun. Always appreciate you coming on. And I think this was a pretty solid team. I like this. This is how a lot of my teams end up going. I love the elite tight end on DraftKings. I love the 3 middle kind of stacked QBs. Feel like it kind of worked out.
Yeah, I felt like it was a pretty comfortable draft. I think there are occasional draft rooms you'll get on DraftKings where you feel like really good about the draft because you get some auto drafters in there that are just doing some weird things. This was generally like a pretty, there were a couple unusual picks, picking slots, but generally a pretty solid room. And I think our team turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely some ETR people both in the chat watching it. That Evan and Greg the Dink, you got Trey in there, you got a few others, you got Establishing it. So appreciate all of you joining us. Chat, you were fantastic. You were fun as well. We got 3 games tonight. 3 games of NFL football. It is great to be back. Enjoy your weekend. Best of luck in drafting. And I'll see you all next Thursday, 2 p.m. We'll be back streaming. I think we're going to have one more pretty fun guest. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll keep it real. All right. Producer Ryan,